Hello, I'm Nick. I'm very glad to share with you some information about the course structures for the IELTS general training tests. And today I'm going to give you some very valuable information for you to better understand about our course structure as well as some background information so that you can do some better consulting with your clients. So today, basically, I'm going to touch base on three major stuff. So the first one is some very useful background information, majorly about the learning progress for different segments, about the IELTS general training test modules, and then I'm going to give you some very detailed information about our course structure and how the courses will be organized and what kind of textbooks we're going to use to help students to better prepare with their IELTS test. And then I'm going to give you some more information about our assessment process as well as the sales process, so that you can better understand when, how, and where you can promote our courses to your potential clients. So the first one is some very useful background information. So basically, as we all know, there are major two segments who would need to take the IELTS general training test. And the first one is the university and college level students. And most of these students would aim at getting a 7 or even 7 plus in overall band in the IELTS general training test. And most of these students, as they had some experience living and studying in Canada or North America, basically they are generally have very good English level and very strong learning motives, and most of them have very good learning ability. And although these students are very good with English, there are still some hindrance for them to achieve a really good score, band score in IELTS general training test. And the first one is the reading module. Although the reading part is not a big problem in terms of vocabulary for these group of students, but to get in 7 overall band in the general training reading module would require some higher accuracy, because you should make 34 correct answers out of the 40 total questions, and this is sometimes a little bit tricky for some students, so that they need more practice to achieve a very consistent accuracy. And the second major hindrance for them is to get a 7 on the IELTS writing module, because most of the students have a relatively weaker writing ability and they lack a lot of the writing skills for them to have a really good delivery of language, which would hinder them getting a very good bank score, mostly 7 in the real IELTS writing module, and that will be the second major hindrance for them. And for a relatively smaller group of people in this segment, getting 8 in listening is a bit is sometimes difficult for those candidates, and these kind of candidates also often have very heavy or strong accent, or may perform really badly in listening modules and speaking modules as well. So the second segment is actually the parental age level immigrants, aiming at 4.5 to 6 on the overall band score of IELTS general training test, and depending on their immigration entry requirements. And as we all know, as most of these kind of segments generally have very limited English level, and because their age causes, and most of them have actually a very declined ability to learn. So the major hindrance for them to achieve this goal in IELTS and reading and listening would be the most challenging modules for them, because of the lack of very enough vocabulary. Because most of these segments will only have on average 1,000 to 2,000 basic vocabularies, which is far from being enough to achieve a 5 or 7, 4.5 in reading and listening. And the speaking and writing, actually for this segment is relatively easier, because if you're only looking at getting a 5-ish or 6-point-ish on IELTS in the speaking and writing, this is not really hard. Although it does require some practice. Okay, so the major problem for this segment is to achieve a really satisfying score on IELTS is majorly because they are very limited vocabulary and heavy accent, and these are the two major hindrances for them to have a to achieve their goals. So basically, that would be some very useful information to better understand the segment. Okay, so basically, I'm also going to give you some information regarding the vocabulary level versus the IELTS band score. So basically, to get a band score around 5 to 6, candidates must have at least 4,000 words, and that includes the following two lists. And the first list is what we call the GSL, 2,284 words, and that would be shortened for the general service list. It was actually invented by the Cambridge University a long time ago. I can't remember the year, but basically those 2,000-ish words are the most fundamental and the most essential vocabulary for any people who want to be understanding of some basic information in our daily lives. And another list is what we call the AWL, 570 academic words list, and that is shortened for the academic word list, and that was also invented by the Cambridge University long time ago. And basically those 500-ish English words are mostly academic words, and those are the most frequently used academic words in the real life. So basically, if you're looking at 5.5 to 6 on IELTS general training, your vocabulary should be at least around that, for the 4,000-ish vocabularies. Otherwise, it will be really hard for you to get band level around 5 to 6. So basically, if you're looking at any higher band score around 7 to 8 in IELTS, any candidates must have at least 7,000 words, and including all of the general training, general service word list, as well as the AWL word list, and some of the more advanced English words. So basically, that would be some very valuable information if the clients wants you to make some estimation in terms of how long they're going to achieve their goals. And these information will be very valuable for them to understand. And all of this information actually come from the Cambridge ISO, which is a publisher of the IELTS test. So it's not made up by me or any other people or any other third party. It is authentically from the IELTS official. So next I'm going to give you some more detailed information regarding our course structure. So before that, I'm going to give you some general information about all our courses. So as I have listed the slides, so all of the courses include at least 2 free 100% authentic mock exam. So that would be totally free. That would be included in whatever courses you are enrolled. And all courses will include some quizzes, midterm, and final exams to make sure we're tracking the learning performance of each candidate that is enrolled in our courses. And all the grades will be guaranteed, but these guaranteed commitments are conditional, and the students must fulfill the 2 conditions. The first one is the students must attend all the classes, and they have to finish at least 90% of all the assignments that we assign to them. Otherwise, we cannot give them this grades guarantee commitments. And also, all of the courses contents may be customized depending on the actual level of class. And basically, the flyer Cherry gave you before is actually the most standard cost structure, but depending on the different actual level of each class, the contents and some arrangements may vary, and that would be upon the agreement of all the classmates in that class. And then the class time may also depend on the schedule of classmates and teachers. So basically, we would allow some flexibility, because in some classes, some classmates will have a very unstable schedule, and as long as like all the classes have agreement on the schedule, and our teachers also have the ability, and we can make some arrangement around that. And basically, in terms of the size of the class, all our classes would mostly enroll at most 6 students. So basically, we won't do any bigger class, because for the quality concerns, and also our classroom size does not allow that many number of students. So basically, those will be some very general information about our courses, and please let me know if you have any other questions regarding it. Okay, so now I'm going to give you some detailed information about different courses regarding the IELTS general training test. And the first course is what I call the IELTS Foundation to Intermediate level. So this course was designed specifically for segment or customers who basically has zero knowledge of IELTS and have very limited English level. And there are basically 3 different levels of in the test, in this course structure. And the first and second level would have 40 hours, but to build some trust for our new customers, we actually gave them a very good price for enrolling the first level, and basically they only need to spend around $1,000 to get enrolled and to learn together with our teachers for 40 hours. And basically, I'm also going to give you some brief introduction about the course content. So basically, the 40 hours will be divided into 3 parts. So we're going to have 14 hours of pronunciation, and 14 hours of grammar, and 12 hours of some basic vocabulary. So that will be the level 1 course. And the level 2 course will be another 40 hours, and the price will be a little bit higher. It would be around $1,180. So the 40 hours will also be divided into 3 parts. So 14 hours about vocabulary, but this vocabulary would be some more advanced vocabulary built on the first one level, and we're also going to have some very basic training on the IELTS speaking to prepare students for the future actual speaking test and training courses. We're also going to have 14 hours of listening practice, because as I said before, and these segments have very limited English level, so reading, vocabulary, and listening will be the major challenges for them. So we want them to practice more on these areas before they actually start to prepare or do some actual IELTS practice questions. So, and then comes the level 3 courses, and in this module there will be 60 hours in total, and the price will be around $2,000, and specifically would be $1,980. So basically the 60 hours will be divided into 4 parts evenly. So 15 hours of speaking, writing, listening, and reading. So basically that will be the general structure. But as I mentioned before, all these hours arrangement may vary depending on the actual levels of each class, because we do have different very differing levels of students in some different classes. So we're gonna make some arrangement once we get to understand more about the students in each class. So basically that would be the general arrangement of different levels in this course, the IELTS foundation to intermediate level. And next comes to the next courses, which is the IELTS General Training 6.0 band score preparation courses. So this course is majorly for people who basically has zero knowledge of the IELTS, but they're looking at achieving at least 5-ish or better in the assessment, and they want to have at least a 6 in the general training exams, and basically we're gonna have 60 hours of training learning times, and the price is around $1,780. And similarly in the level 3 and the last courses, the 6 hours will be divided evenly into 4 parts, so that will be 15 hours of each module. And again, depending on the actual levels of the students, we're going to make some other different arrangement within the hours, within how we're going to divide the hours. And next comes to the IELTS General Training 7+ band score preparation courses, and obviously this courses is specifically designed for people who want to achieve 7 or even 7+ in the IELTS General Training test. And basically those students have to achieve at least a 6 or better in our assessment, so that they would be qualified to enroll in this kind of courses. So basically, similarly, it will be again 60 hours, and the price will be similar to will be the same to the 6.0 preparation courses, which would be $1,780, and the same. Likewise, the 60 hours will be divided evenly into 15 hours, 4 modules for each modules, and we're gonna make some different arrangements around different classes depending on the actual level of the students. So basically, those 3 different courses are group classes, and as I said before, each class would mostly have 6 students, and that would be some basic information regarding the classes. So I would suppose that some other clients would be very curious about what kind of reference or what kind of textbook we're going to use for different parts in the courses. So I'm going to give you some detailed information. So regarding vocabulary, so the major reference we use is a book which is called Vocabulary for IELTS Advanced, and it was actually published by the Cambridge ESOL. So this book is actually written by a group of examiners, and this book actually includes around like 33,000 words, and all of which are very IELTS focused. And but basically we're not going to use all of the contents in the book, because as I mentioned, most of the immigrant customers do not need that many words. So we're going to selectively pick up some of the contents as well as the practices in the book to teach, and we're also going to teach together with the general service list. So that will be the basic 2,000-ish words. So basically that will be our major reference, or the major textbooks we use for vocabulary teaching on IELTS. And regarding the grammar, so we also use another book published by the Cambridge, and that is called the Grammar for IELTS, and it was written also written by a group of actual IELTS examiners. So this book includes the commonly used grammatical structures and items, as well as knowledge that are aimed at application for in the IELTS writing and speaking module, and it also includes some of the writing basic knowledge, but we will not only refer to this book as the major reference. And in terms of the teaching, in terms of the writing teaching part, our teachers will use some other sources as knowledge, as the basic knowledge structure to teach. So basically, so this book is gonna be our major source for grammar teaching. Okay, so in terms of the pronunciation, we don't actually use any specific books for pronunciation, and actually we use the material we develop on our own, and basically our pronunciation instruction courses would majorly focus on correcting the accent and tones for most of the students, and we also touch on some training, training the candidates to achieve some level of connected speech, because having a really good pronunciation is very important for the candidate to achieve a really good performance in both speaking and listening modules. So that would be the textbooks that we use for any fundamental level of courses. And in terms of the question banks, and we basically use the IELTS authentic examination papers, and basically these books will be used in the strategy instruction courses, and all of the questions of practice are actually from the authentic IELTS sample question books, as well as the Cambridge official guide. And but as these books only contain very limited contents on speaking and writing, so we are not going to use these books as the major source for writing the speaking questions. We're gonna use our own question banks, and this question bank was created from the previous test in the last 5 years. So basically, this question bank would be very enough to cover all types of topics shown in the real exams. So apart from that, teachers will often have their own handouts and some add-on knowledges used to help students with their study of IELTS. So basically, that would be the textbook and how our knowledge is organized when teaching or helping students to prepare with their IELTS. So then I'm going to give you some major information about our assessment and sales. So basically, the assessment process is very simple. So as long as you have any clients and they can register for appointment for the English level assessment, and basically candidates need to book an appointment in advance. And in terms of in case of appointment booking, please contact Cherry for scheduling. If you can't reach Cherry, you can let me know or let Renee know about it. So we're gonna deal with it. Okay, so basically the general our assessment of English level would generally take 1.5 hours, including a comprehensive evaluation on reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And all of the assessment questions will be authentic IELTS level questions. So basically, the candidates will write on, will answer all the actual IELTS examination questions. And depending on the schedule of the candidates, the assessments can actually be customized, because sometimes the candidates would say that they have very limited time and they can't spend basically 1.5 hours doing answering our questions. And we do understand this, and we're gonna make some arrangement around it. So basically, we have different shortened version, or you can even call it a customized version of assessment test. So basically, based on our experience so far, we basically will customize our entrance assessment into 3 different types. So the first one, of course, is the full-size test. So that will include reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And then, if in case that any client has a very limited time, we can use some shortened version of assessment questions, and that would be a writing task, which would take them around 40 minutes, and another speaking part, which would take about 30 minutes ish. Or sometimes if clients would say, I don't really have the time to finish all the questions in here. We understand that we're gonna send them the question paper in advance so that the students can complete the test before coming and talk to us and hand it over to the teachers during the appointment. Then we can, correct the answers and see how much scores they can get. Okay, so after the assessment, and we're gonna correct their answers to evaluate their performance. So basically, teachers will, based on their performance, to evaluate the level and weakness of the candidates and have a talk of the strategies in terms of how they can improve in the shorter time, and after which basically we can start our sales process. So basically that would be the process of our assessment, sales, and the sales. So please let me know if you have any other questions, or you can also ask Cherry for some further information, because Cherry is actually the salesperson and she knows better about the sales process. Okay, so basically that will be all the information I'm going to share with you regarding the our course structures and prices and hours arrangement, textbooks and segments, and something about our assessment. So please take this information. If you find them useful, please let me know, or please let me know if you have any further questions. I'll be very happy to have a talk with you. Okay, so thank you very much.